All right, joining me via Zoom, good friend of mine, head coach, Liberty Flames, coming off a 10-1 season. He joined me in the middle of it last year. Coach, Liberty has a historic, prominent program. I don't want to call it the most anticipated season in program history coming up. I kind of feel like it is. Coach HUGH FREEZE, how you doing, Coach?
Yeah, I think everybody feels that way, man. I don't. First, thank you for having me, man. You've been awful kind to me and our program all through the season last year, and we're excited to get it started this year. And there are a lot of expectations, which that means we've done something right. So we embrace those and are excited about getting it going.
So it was crazy because I was thinking about this, first AP poll come out here next week. If you believe some of the too early top 25s, there's a chance the Liberty Flames could be ranked to start the season coming into 2021, the fall of. You've had success everywhere you've gone. Everybody knows your track record. And as I said, Liberty was a very successful program even prior to your arrival. But fourth year in the FBS, are you even surprised how successful, how well everything has worked out early with you and your guys?
Oh, yeah, I would say very surprised, really. It's, truthfully, my first year here was the first full season of FBS play, of a full, schedule in FBS. And then obviously last year was our second. And to be 2-0 in bowl games in those 2 years, I've said it often, and this is not a knock or slight on anyone, but when we got here, the roster was full of FCS players, and that's nobody's fault because that's what they were recruited to play. And so in year one, that last year was a magical ride, but year one was probably as far as if you quantify how much you achieve with your roster, year one was pretty special also. And then obviously last year to have the run we did and, finishing the number 17 in the country and, beat some good football teams and ended the season with a big win over an undefeated Coastal team. That was it was a special run. So yeah, I'm a bit surprised. We've been able to turn every program that I've been a part of fairly quickly, but this one, I think it certainly surprised me.
What do you attribute that to? I mean, obviously great institutional support, all that, but like you said, no disrespect to anybody that was in the program. They were recruited, most of them, to play at the FCS level. What do you attribute to having so much success so quickly?
Well, culture. I think culture wins. And, I don't know that you ever get the exact culture you want by all 120 players plus the 40 staff and managers, trainers. I don't know what the number is, but you're probably approaching 170 people that have a role in your program at the FBS level. And if you can get a large percentage of those bought into your culture, it certainly goes a long way. I don't think that culture alone beats talent, but you get enough talent with great culture, you got a fighting chance. And I think I've told you this. I believe I have a lot of weaknesses, and I try to hire people that can handle those weaknesses. And I think I have a few strengths. And one of the strengths I think I do have is pulling a group of people and pointing them in the same direction with a very, very detailed plan that we don't waver from, that builds the culture you want. And if you can get a few of those leaders to have the same voice in the locker room that you have in the team room, and I think it goes a long, long way. And we were fortunate to have some quality leaders and kids that I think did that immediately with us, and they're still with us. And and then the second thing besides culture would be the recruiting. We were able to recruit really well in our first class, and then we added a second class to it for last year's, and this year we're adding a third class. So hopefully we're building quality FBS depth.
So dumb question, every coach in America talks about culture. What do you believe the Hugh Freeze Liberty culture is? Because like I said, every coach talks about it.
Mhm.
There aren't very many teams that go 10-1, and it's, again, no discredit to anybody else, but clearly something within that culture is working.
Well, ours is it's built on faith and attitude and mental toughness and love. Those are the four things that we talk about, and add integrity to that. Integrity being owning, what the film says, owning what the film of life says for your day, and then with those, once you establish those, it's really, to me, our culture is about chasing the standard. It's not about perfection. It's how well are we chasing that standard. You'll never hear me talk about goals of numbers of wins, or I just don't believe in that. I believe that if I can establish a culture that honestly chases the standard, whether it's academics, whether it's nutrition, whether it's the weight room, whether it's the way our practice habits, if I can get a group that really will honestly evaluate at the end of a day, how well did I chase that standard today that we've said we all agree on? And once we all say we agree on it, then they give me that right to be the driving force behind that, to call them and to call myself out. There's days I look in the mirror at the end of the day and say, man, I didn't bring it well enough today in practice, or I didn't plan that period well enough, and the transition was awful, and that's my fault. And you know what? And having integrity of that is saying, I didn't get the standard exactly right today, but I'm on having the mental toughness enough to get up the next morning and do it better, and do my role and play my role in it. I just don't think, I'm not into keeping up with number of strikeouts. I just, man, let's chase that fastball as hard as we can, and when we get the middle in, let's turn on it as hard as we can. And I don't hold that against our players or our staff or myself. I've kind of learned that, a lot of different ways through my journey, but just, man, that if I had to sum it up, it would be just chasing the standard daily, and don't be result oriented. We can't get caught up in what the scoreboard may or may not say. We can't get caught up here with because reality is our schedule is different year to year right now, with us being independent. And, 1 year 7 wins may equate to last year's 10 wins. And we may think, man, we accomplished more with 7 wins. And I'm okay with that, because I like putting us in those games that we are exciting to play. You're not going to win them all, but let's just chase the standard, and we'll leave the results to what they are.
So I want to get back to your team in a minute, but you just mentioned the schedule. I saw today, well, I knew this before, but early November, you guys play at Ole Miss. Yeah. What have you, I know, Coach, we're focused on week 1 with Campbell, but what do you think it's going to be like? I mean, I know the fan base there still loves you. What do you think it's going to be like to show up in Oxford there in early November?
I think I'm going to need some tickets. I've already, man, I don't know how I'm going to get enough tickets for everybody that's already hit me for it. Either people here or people there. And, I wish it wasn't on the schedule. I told our administration that I wasn't crazy about that game was scheduled long before I took the job, obviously. And I know Lane really well, and he's going to do a heck of a job. And I love those people there. And I do have a lot of friends that are still there, and I'm sure there'll be some that want to boo me too on that day. And I'll be prepared for that. But it's going to be a tough one, but we got a lot of games before we get to that one. But the biggest concern I have right now is the number of ticket requests I'm getting.
You worried about Coach Kiffin's quick with those Twitter fingers. You worried about what he might say in the lead up to that game?
Does he do his own Twitter? I don't know, man.
I wish he does.
He is good at that stuff, man. I'm terrible at. I'm terrible. My daughter tells me half the time that you're terrible at this, and she has to do it most of the time for me now. But he's dang good at that, and has some witty stuff. The thing I'll say about Lane is I think I remember the times we were able to beat them when he was at Alabama, and vividly remember him staying. Of course, that press conference after was a really, really long one for me and a good one. And that guy stood in that hallway in our complex until all was done, just to talk to me and congratulate me. I'll never forget that. And I think we have we're not close friends. We don't talk all the time or anything like that, but we've just had a lot of encounters throughout my college career, which is fairly short. And he's just always, I actually went out when he was the head coach at Oakland and spent a week there.
Wow.
And so he's just always been very kind to me. And I think there's mutual respect. So I would doubt that he would do anything other than compliment us at this point, but you never know with Lane's Twitter account. I don't know. It's pretty dang good. I don't follow many coaches, but I follow him because he makes me laugh.
Well, when he offered Messi a scholarship to come compete to be his kicker, that was when I was like, all right, I'm in on Coach Kiffin right now. I'm in on Coach Kiffin. Let me ask you a dumb question. Since this conversation is taking a detour, he is an incredibly respected play caller, creator of offenses. You yourself are, whether it's him, whether it's what is it like when guys like you get in the room together and you just go on the whiteboard, the chalkboard, whatever? Because whether it was with him in Oakland, whether it was in that hallway, I imagine those are some pretty exciting, conversations that we'd all like to be a fly on the wall for, I guess I would say.
Well, he's one of the best. And, I think we were totally different guys brought up from, I was the RPO tempo guy, and that's worked for me. And he was more of the traditional USC pro style, and he was excellent at that and creating mismatches. And now when he came to the SEC, I think he was he totally started getting into this other world that we're all in now. And you combine a guy with his talent, imagination, and there's something about a guy on Saturdays that knows exactly when to call something, and he's great at getting matchups for his playmakers. So, I think this new world has made him even more dangerous as a play caller of offensive football. But it's always, when I was in Oakland, it was all his pro style stuff, which I never really bought into for me.
Sure.
And because I never have coached at a place where I felt like I think that's a great system.
You can just
if you have equal or better talent. I've never felt like I rolled out to every game on our schedule and felt quite that way, whether it was at Lambeth or Ole Miss or Arkansas State or now here at Liberty. So I've always felt like I've got to have an advantage if I don't have the same roster. And, that's why I do what we do on offense. But now Lane's doing that with good talent. So he's dangerous. And let me say this. I have great respect for Levy also. I think he's a heck of a play caller. And, I don't know how they're doing it or who's all calling it, but Levy, back to his Baylor days and everywhere he's been, has been a heck of a play caller also.
Well, and they did it, with basically without a spring last year. I mean, nobody had a spring, but I mean, for a first-year head coach, I was so impressed with how quickly they implemented it, how quickly they scored. Real quick, we kind of open with your team coming into this year. I know it's a new year. It's reestablishing the culture. How do you feel? Because 1, 10-1, it's exciting, but 2, like you said, you have to reestablish it every year. You got to let the new 85 to 120 guys know that last year is over. This year, it's time to turn a chapter. I know you had all spring and winter workouts and stuff to do that, but how do you feel about your guys going in? We're about 3.5 weeks till kickoff here.
Yeah, I told them team meeting number 1, and I had Eric Thomas here as a great motivational speaker, but our whole deal was last year's DNA is not this year's DNA. And as exciting as that was, and we've got the ring and the trophy case and the ranking, the picture of it, I'll save forever. But that has absolutely zero to do with this 21 campaign. And so we've got to earn whatever comes our way. And certainly we will not be I don't know if we were last year or not, but I assure you, we won't surprise anyone when we walk out there on a Saturday now. That they'll have respect for our team and know that they have to play well, hopefully, to beat us. And so we'll get the best shot, I'm sure, this year. So we've got to earn everything that comes our way, and it has nothing to do with last year's success.
Coach, I got about 10 more questions for you, but you got a team meeting to get to, man. I can't keep you from your boys here. It's go time. There's no holding back now, man. I appreciate you doing this.
Listen, Aaron, any time for you, man. I appreciate what you do and how you do it for all of us, and something we love, and that's sport. And enjoy your Twitter feeds also. You always have most of the time. There's not many I can say it about. There's most of the time I nod and say, I agree with what his assessment.
I'll tell you, every time I tweet something that people say are controversial, I have somebody else reach out to me saying, keep doing what you're doing. So I appreciate that. I'm a little bit of a loose cannon sometimes, but it's okay. It's supposed to be fun, right? So I'm like Coach Kiffin. It's supposed to be fun. You can't take yourself too seriously.
No, man, I tell you, the time when I stop having fun at doing this, I'm gonna give it to somebody else and go fishing and play golf.
Well, I don't think it's going to be anytime soon with the team you got. HUGH FREEZE, head coach, Liberty. Man, I appreciate you doing this. Best of luck. I'm sure we'll connect some point during the season, maybe during a bye week or something. But thank you for the time, Coach. We appreciate it.
I hope so. I hope we give you reason for you to want us back on.